Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another poetry podcast. We have another special guest, so we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves now.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I hope everybody is doing wonderful today.
Where are you located at, Rachel?
In Texas.
Texas. I've always wanted to go there, but I've never been.
Yeah. Lived most of my life in Florida. I was born in Georgia, and I lived in Florida most of my life, but I've been here in Texas since 2019, so.
Well, I hope that you are enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, there's good and bad no matter where you are, but the Lord's really been helping me, so.
That is definitely the truth, 100%. So, tell us about yourself, just like in general. What do you like to do in your downtime,
Writing's a big thing for me, no matter what, so there's that. Poetry is how I work through a lot of things and really express myself a lot, but I like writing other stuff too. Mostly poetry when it comes to like what I've actually ended up publishing or anything. But other than that, I like to draw and paint and stuff. I watch movies and play games and do stuff like that with my kids, and just try to make the most of every day. I just started working again recently. That's the first time I've been working in like 20 years, so that's been an adjustment. But it's also part of me stepping up to take back control of my life, where for a long time I let that kind of be taken from me, not in a good way, but just what very controlling relationship can do to a person over time. So
I am so sorry to hear that you went through that. Many of us know how traumatizing that can be even after you leave, but I am so glad that you are out to have your own peace now and your own voice and do what you want when you want. So I'm really happy for you for that. How old are your kids?
I've got an almost 9-year-old, he'll be 9 next month, and then a 14-and-a-half-year-old. I also have an adult daughter. She'll be 27 this year. I don't really get to see her or my grandbabies. They're down in Florida, so.
That definitely makes it hard. They grow fast, don't they?
Oh, yeah. They sure do.
How long have you been writing?
Since childhood. I was maybe in 2nd grade whenever I started writing. I always loved, even before I could read myself, I always loved listening to books and stories and things like that. And I love what you can do with words and with writing and how you can express yourself, and also not just as the person writing, but what you can get out of hearing something, whether it's a story or a poem or whatever, as the listener as well. So.
Absolutely. What do you think inspired you to start writing, and who is your biggest inspiration now?
To start writing, it was probably realizing that all of the things my young life made me feel like I wasn't allowed to express or say, or all the stuff that I basically had to pretend wasn't there and hold inside. Writing was a way to get out, when it came to like the poetry part of it. But then just writing in general, was kind of really, just a way to get my mind off of a lot of the things that were going on, and this kind of the same way that I used music and like listening to music and watching movies and stuff like that. It was really just an escape for a little while, getting away from all the things that weren't right and pretending that things were better, I guess you could say.
I think that even like all the writers can relate to that, but even a lot of people who don't write can relate to that. So,
and you said, what's my biggest inspiration now?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, what really clicked and sparked me to make the move to actually not just write down my poems, but to work on publishing my book and actually getting it out there and all. I would say my mom and a lot of the things that were going on with her. And she passed in November of this last year, and her health wasn't great, but it was unexpected, her passing. So, just knowing that she kind of, her not being around anymore was because she always pushed aside anything she had ever felt like was supposed to be her life or for her life, or that she was supposed to do to try and make others happy. And oftentimes it went very unappreciated, and she just would be so hurt and so drained. And I could see so much of what had been going on with her repeating itself in my life, and knowing that she wanted different and better for me and for my hopes or dreams and everything. It just, I decided that I was dedicating the book to her, and that what I was doing moving forward was what I should have been doing, and what I wish that she would have gotten to do in her life. So
I definitely understand that, and that loss is very, very hard. I lost my mom in 2017, so I'm very sorry for that for you.
You too. I know it is not an easy thing.
The world is definitely not the same once your mom goes away, for sure.
Yeah.
So what genres of poetry do you write? Like, is it mostly romance?
Well, a lot of it is based on just things that I've been through, and a lot of it expresses, at least from this book, a lot of it expresses the hurt and the heartache and stuff like that. But there's also a lighter and more whimsical kind of side to some of it. The book is called Mixed Emotions, and really that's what it is, just a little bit of everything.
That sounds very interesting. And where can our readers find that book?
It's on Amazon. It's just self-published, so I'm really just trying to push it out myself. I make YouTube videos sharing some of the poems from it, and I shared that on Tumblr and on X, but like I said, I'm not at all tech savvy, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm not getting in over my head with all of it. But I do hope to try to expand at some point where I'm sharing it and all of that. But right now I'm just on Amazon's where you can find the book. It's Mixed Emotions, Poetry for the Soul, Healing from Toxic Relationships. And then the videos are on YouTube, and I share those videos through X and Tumblr as well.
Okay. We will definitely have to add that link so that they can easily get to it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, what do you hope your readers get from your words? Or, like, if you could tell your readers anything right now, what would it be?
Don't let this world beat you down or make you feel like you don't matter or what you want from life doesn't matter, because everybody matters, and we should all have the chance to find ourselves and be who we are and be loved for who we are.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I think that's what most of us try and portray, so that people can see that there is a peaceful life out there where they can be themselves and voice their words and thoughts and not be criticized and ridiculed for them, and that everybody's voice matters. So absolutely love that. Who is your favorite author and why?
That's a tough one. Well, if I had to say, like, favorite, because I like a lot of stuff, ranging from more recent writers like even Anne Rice or Tolkien, or going back some, you got Tolstoy, Poe, just stuff like that, all the way back to Chaucer, Shakespeare. I like all that stuff, but the only book that I read every day is the Bible. And in scripture, I would say that Psalms is probably my favorite spot to rest in. Like, I read Psalm 91 every day. But my favorite psalm is Psalm 119. But David is probably my favorite psalmist. But then when it comes to author, God is the author of all scripture. So, however you take that, David's psalms are beautiful, but all of it is inspired by God. So
that is absolutely true. And thinking about it in a different aspect, I try and read a chapter in the Bible every day as well. And there's been many times in my life where it kind of just slipped through the cracks because I was so busy, and I could always tell a difference when I didn't. But one of the chapters that I recently read really made a huge impact in my thought process, because those of us that have been through those traumatic experiences, I know, like for myself, the question is, why me? What did I do to deserve that, right?
Yeah.
And if you read the Bible, look how amazing God is, and he was ridiculed and beat and, killed by the masses.
Yeah.
So if somebody that amazing, if God can be done that way, then it's not anything that we're doing. It's just the other people in the world, and it kind of to me, it set in a relief, to be honest. To think that, don't take it personal. So.
Yeah. And really, something that I've learned through everything is that all of it, the good and the bad, can be and is often an opportunity to learn and to grow. And even the bad things that we go through and we face, God's with us even then. And if we let Him lead the way, not only will He bring good out of the bad that happened, but He'll refine us and grow us and help us to be more of who He made us to be on the other side of it.
Absolutely. Do you have a passage or two from a poem that you would like to read us today?
Okay, yeah. Would it be possible to do a couple of poems so it can one to show the harsher or harder, more difficult side of life, and one to show that even in the trials of life, there's still beauty to be found?
Absolutely, that would be perfect.
Okay, I will start with one called That's the Spirit, and it is, I know a lot of people can probably relate, when you spend most of your life being told that you're not good enough or you don't matter or whatever, you start to hear an internal dialogue of that, even when you're not hearing anybody outwardly saying that to you. Because it just, and you start to feel even in yourself like you don't matter. And literally when I wrote this poem, I was laying in bed, dozing, and all of a sudden I just woke up with the beginning lines of the poem, and I just knew I had to write it down. So, but it's called That's the Spirit. Pick your heart up off the floor and shove it down your throat. If loneliness is what you are, then wear it like a coat. But it feels so sharp and spiny, like it's piercing through my skin. There must be poison inside the lining, 'cause I can feel it seeping in. I feel it now, the loneliness of who I used to be, flowing swiftly through my veins and how it's taking over me. Really, though, it's always been there. That's right, it never even left. You just fooled yourself to think it had, to try and live a life without regret. But if loneliness is your coat, then regret must be your shoes, and brokenness has to be your hat, because, you need one of those too. Now that you're fully dressed and fed, you're ready for the day. So go ahead and face it all. It's time to get out there and play. But I don't really want to play. I can hardly even move. Shoes are way too big for me. I can barely feel my feet. It's like I'm hauling bricks around, and it makes me feel so weak. That's the point, though, isn't it? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Come on, don't tell me that you're giving up. Try to hold on a little longer. What does it even matter if things will always be this way? I could walk 1,000,000 miles and still here is where I'd stay. Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still loads of fun to see. I love to watch you beg and squirm. Nothing else is so pleasing to me. Well, okay, I guess. As long as you get something out of this, I will wear it and I'll bear it all. And maybe one day it will fit. That one was That's the Spirit.
That is priceless. That is such deep thoughts and words, and felt by me, and I'm sure many, many others who have read it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like that inner dialogue where you're just trained through life to beat yourself up if there's nobody else there to do it. So, but the other one is called Bobby Pins, and it's about losing not just someone, but losing people that meant a lot to us in our lives, but it's more of a positive way of looking at things. So it's kind of to show that even in the lost and the harder things, there's still moments to be cherished and to look back to, and growth to be had and stuff like that. And since losing my mom, it really hits a lot different. I wrote it back in 2015, so but it's called Bobby Pins. There was once a bobby pin that held so firm in place. That bobby pin, it never failed, keeping the hair from off my face. Till the day a storm blew in like none I'd ever seen, the kind you never want to meet outside a TV screen. My hair was tossed and flipped asunder in every which way, so violently was it whipped about that pin just couldn't stay. I felt it as it started to fail, getting looser by the second. I couldn't believe when it finally gave. Oh, I never would have reckoned. Oh, bobby pin, I can't believe you're gone. I won't forget how strong you were or how tightly you hung on. I could try to replace you, but it just wouldn't be the same. You were more to me than just a pin. You were my everything. You helped me see when I needed to most. You always were there but never did boast. You made me feel pretty when I didn't at all. You made it so easy to face the wind and stand tall. You taught me to trust, and you helped me to grow. You showed me how to love, and in the end, how to let go. So to everyone out there who knew from the start what I meant by missing your bobby pins deep down in your heart, and to all the bobby pins out there who have come and then gone, please know that through memories you will always live on. Everyone remember to wear your bobby pins right, to always appreciate them, and through life's storms hold them tight. Remember that though they won't always be there, it's a blessing to have them to hold up your hand. So sorry.
No. Poetry is meant to be felt. So I tear up sometimes when I'm reading mine too. That sent cold chills down my arms. It was definitely felt, and you do a fantastic job relaying your thoughts and words.
Thank you. I really enjoy your poetry too, and I kind of wanted to ask you a couple questions. I know that's not typically what you do, but I kind of wanted to throw a couple of questions back at you as well, if you don't mind.
I don't mind one bit.
Okay. I just was wondering, because I know just simply from your poetry, but also we have talked a little bit through message and stuff, that you've been through quite a bit yourself. And I was just curious what writing means for you, and kind of how it came into your life. Was it through your trauma, or is it just something you've always loved? Or
when I was little, when I was 10 years old, I was always very emotional. Like, I feel so deeply that sometimes I wished I couldn't feel that deeply. But we went to the library, and love the smell of the book, by the way. That's
my favorite smell in the world.
I checked out a book of poetry that I seen on the shelf by Hughes. He was the first African-American poet to publish a book. And he truly inspired me. So after I read his book, I sat down with pen and paper, and the words just started flowing. I was 10 years old, and I've been writing ever since. I did have a lapse where I didn't write a whole lot between 2012 to 2019. Yeah, so the trauma was just so much that I had writer's block 100%. I couldn't slow my mind enough to even think to write.
Yeah, for me that was more like when if I did write down how I felt, which is what a lot of time my poetry is, I was treated like I'd done something wrong, and I was shamed for it. And even if I mentioned I'd like to try to publish something, I was told it'd just be a waste of money because nobody wanted to read it, and just all kind of horrible things like that. So I just stopped doing it.
I get that. And then after I found my peace a little over 2 years ago, I just sat down one day when I was feeling heavily and had pen and paper and picked it back up and wrote pages and pages. It's like when the feelings start releasing, there's just no end. It doesn't want to end, and you can just ride on forever, and it's exhausting but relieving. So if it's just a poem that I write about, having a motivational day from something I see from the sun or the clouds or whatever, it's cool. But when it's trauma related and heartfelt, you can just about lay down and take a nap afterwards because it's relieving but exhausting. But I was never going to publish because I was told that, and I was also told by one of my exes that if I ever published anything that had them in it, that they would come for me. But I don't think that they would now, looking back. Those were just empty threats. For one, then everybody would know who they were, right? But since then I've grown. I still work through different things that are triggers that I've done it for so many years I didn't realize I was doing. So working through those, but I have came a long way, as I'm sure you have as well, and we will continue to find our peace every day. I have a question for you, speaking of. When you first found your peace, was it scary? Did it seem crazy to have all the quiet and scary? Because...
Well, and for me, it's been really crazy because technically, I still live in the same house, and like divorce hasn't been final or any of that kind of thing yet, because just the situation I found myself in, from the fact that he had financial control for the whole time we've been together. I can't even try to get moved until I've worked for at least 6 months to show that I'm working and keeping a job and all of that kind of stuff. And then there's like a program that will help with down payment things and stuff like that. But also too, because I need to save up money, and I've already got some saved up from my mom's passing, but I'm also having to rebuild my credit because that had been trashed, and just so many things that had happened. And when it first all started, me actually really waking up to seeing the truth of the toxicity and the things that were going on that weren't okay, it was really hard to take it all in. And during that point, music was actually a really big help for me. And it's weird because I had never actually really been an Imagine Dragons fan. I had heard like Radioactive, or the ones that they'll play on the radio or something, a few times. But during all of that, there were actually multiple songs written by Imagine Dragons that just spoke volumes and really helped me come to terms with a lot of it. But there were so many times that I would just be in there in the shower crying my eyes out because it was all so much to take in and to understand and to finally it was like I had been blind and now I was able to see clearly, and trying to really come to terms with it all. And so, especially when you've got little ones around and you don't want to fall apart in front of them, and especially with everything else going on, they need you to be strong. That's what you want to do, is to be strong, but you've got to have those moments of weakness to keep getting stronger, you know. So, but yeah, it's been hard, but the Lord has been my strength, and He's helping me understand things in ways that don't feel as overwhelming as they could. And towards the beginning of it, I had moments where I felt quite overwhelmed, but when it gets to that point, I have to remember to turn it all over to Him, and understand that for things to get better and grow and happen like they need to, things take time. Like even in Scripture, when you can see like Joseph or Moses or anybody like David, anybody like that, they went through times. Even Ruth or Esther, there were the points where they had to just wait, or they had to go through the hardship before things got to the point where whatever was supposed to come next was ready to happen. And you can even see it with like Abraham and Sarah, and when they were waiting on the promise, they were waiting and they were faithful, but they also had moments of doubt. And you see what happened when Sarah told Abraham to, maybe you're supposed to have a kid with my concubine, with, what was she called? Her, I can't remember, but like her helper. And so she gave him the mother of, why? Now I can't think of his name.
It's okay.
Ishmael's mother. And they had Ishmael, but Ishmael wasn't the promised child, and then that ended up causing other issues. And you see Hagar and Ishmael ended up being pushed aside, and it was just this whole thing that didn't have to happen that way, but God knew it would happen that way. He knew that moment had to happen of them not doubting God, but being in their not being able to see everything clearly like God did, and trying to let their own thoughts on what could be needing to happen or whatever. They had to have that moment so that then they could learn and grow and understand more what God tells us in the Bible that we have now, but they didn't have that back then, is that God's ways are not our ways, and His understanding is above our understanding, and we can't see the full picture like He can. So sometimes we have to make mistakes or fall short or go through trials and stuff like that, so that we can learn and grow and be prepared for the promises that are still waiting to come.
Absolutely. And you voicing that, I can't express enough gratitude. I hate that you're going through it, and I know that, things are on an uphill slide, or, downhill slide, so that they get better. But it lets people who've not experienced it see how difficult it is. Because everybody's initial reaction is, why don't you just walk away? And many times it's not as simple. The world is not, there are things that we can do, right? We just have to find the right people to help us get there. But so it's not doable. Everyone should walk away from the chaos and misery that narcissism causes, but that it is a struggle, and that you overcome as you go through it, and you are overcoming. And I can't wait to hear about your future. I know it's going to be super fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, and really for sharing the things that you have. And you're an inspiration too, and I really enjoy your poems, and I appreciate that you're doing what you're doing to try and help others to see the things that so often go unnoticed. And there's actually a tiny little short 4-line poem that I did that I put on the back of my book. It's called Silent Voices, and really it's about exactly that there's so many times that the people that need to be heard the most are the ones the most ignored. And it literally says, it's called Silent Voices. It says, the voices of the broken fall hard and heavy to the ground, where they're often trampled underfoot by those who never hear them make a sound. What you're doing is helping to amplify those silent voices so that there's more people that might actually hear them, and more people who maybe don't know how or don't feel like they can express their own silent voices, their own brokenness, the chance to see and understand they're not as alone as they feel.
Thank you. That means the world to me, and that's my hope, is that just reach out and hope that more people can hear it, heal it, feel it, leave it, have peace, smile, and find their voice and dreams again.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I totally relate to that, and that's so much of what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, and writing all the poems down and getting them out. That part was for me and to help me heal and everything, but I felt more like that sharing it in the ways that I am is just as much to help others as it is to try and help myself, to get over and get through and work through the things that I've dealt with. So I totally understand, and I commend you. I just thank the Lord that He's helping and giving us and others in the same moment in their lives right now, going through and all that, the opportunity and the ability and the ways to reach out like this to help others and to help ourselves grow in our walk with Him. So.
Absolutely, and you are an inspiration as well. So definitely want everybody to hear your words so that you can be a light as well, because you are. So, do you have anything else you wanted to add before we close?
Just keep following what the Lord is leading you to do, and I say that to anybody listening. If you don't know the Lord, maybe don't write Him off as not important the way that sadly too often so many of us might find ourselves doing. But if we give Him the chance to show us who He is, He most definitely will. And even if you don't know the Lord in your life, if you feel like you are called to more, and like there's things going on within you, a war within yourself over who you know you are, or who you know you're supposed to be versus who this world tries to make us. Let yourself have the right to be you, instead of trying to suppress who you are to please everybody else, but living your life unhappy because you know it's not who you are.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and thank you so much for joining us and giving us the pleasure of speaking with such a strong woman who shines her light with purpose. So I hope that everyone has a blessed and happy Easter Sunday, and we will see you on the next podcast.